Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishwapad, Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya, Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya, Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Can you bring that book, Govardhan? Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Right, so we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, entitled The Creative Impetus. Chapter 5, Lord Rsabhadeva's Teachings, and we're on text 20. So, Tasmat Bhavantaha Hridayena Gataha Sarve Mahi Yamsam Amum Sanabam Aklishta Budya Bharatam Bhajadvam Shushushanam Tat Paranam Prajanam Tasmad Bhavanto Hridayena Jata Sarve Mahiyamsam Amum Sanabam. Aklishta Buddhya Bharatam Bhajadvam Shushushanam Tadbaranam Prajanam Tasmad Bhavanto Hridayena Jata Sarve Mahiyam Samamum Sanapam Aklishta Buddhya Bharatam Bhajadvam Shushushanam Tadbaranam Prajanam Tasmad Bhavanto Hridayena Jata Sarve Mahiyam Samamum Sanabhyam Aklishta Buddhya Bharatam Bhajadvam Shushushanam Tad Paranam Prajanam Tasmat, therefore, because I am the Supreme, Bhavantaha, you, Hridayena, from my heart, Jataha, born, Sarve, all, Mahiyamsam, the best, that, Sanabam, brother, Aklishta Buddhya, with your intelligence, without material contamination. Bharatam, Bharata, Bhajadvam, just try to serve. Shushushanam, service. Tat, that. Bharanam Prajanam, ruling over the citizens. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear boys, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. You should accept your eldest brother, Bharat, who is exalted in devotional service. If you engage yourselves in Bharat's service, your service to him will include my service, and you will rule the citizens automatically. Purport. In this verse, the word hridaya indicates the heart, which is also called udaha, the chest. The heart is situated within the chest, and although, instrumentally, the son is born with the aid of the genitals, he is actually born from within the heart. According to the heart situation, the semen takes the form of a body. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, when one begets a child, his heart should be purified through the ritualistic ceremony known as Garbhadana. Rsabhadeva's heart was always uncontaminated and spiritual. Consequently, all the sons born from the heart of Rsabhadeva were spiritually inclined. Nonetheless, Rsabhadeva suggested that his eldest son was superior, and he advised the others to serve him. All the brothers of Bharata Maharaj were advised by Rsabhadeva to adhere to Bharata's service. The question may be asked why one should be attached to family members, for in the beginning it was advised that one should not be attached to home and family. However, it is also advised, Mahiyasam Padarajo Bhisheka. One has to serve the Mahiyan, one who is very spiritually advanced. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukte. By serving the Mahat, the exalted devotee, one's path for liberation is open. The family of Rsabhadeva should not be compared to an ordinary materialistic family. Bharata Maharaj, Rsabhadeva's eldest son, was specifically very exalted. For this reason, the other sons were advised to serve him for his pleasure. That was to be their duty. The Supreme Lord was advising Bharata Maharaj to be the chief ruler of the planet. This is the real plan of the Supreme Lord. In the Battle of Kurukshetra, we find that Lord Krishna wanted Maharaj Yudhishthira to be the supreme emperor of this planet. He never wanted Duryodhana to take the post. As stated in the previous verse, Lord Rsabhadeva's heart is Hridayam Yatra Dharmaha. The characteristic of Dharma is also explained in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To protect Dharma, Pritanayu Sadhanam, the Lord always wants the ruler of the earth to be a devotee. Then everything goes on nicely for the benefit of everyone. As soon as a demon rules the earth, everything becomes chaotic. At the present moment, the world is inclined toward the democratic process. But the people in general are all contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. Consequently, they cannot select the right person to head the government. The president is selected by the votes of ignorant Shudras. Therefore, another Shudra is elected, and immediately the entire government becomes polluted. If people strictly followed the principles of Bhagavad Gita, they would elect a person who is the Lord's devotee. Hare Krishna. Then automatically, there would be a good government. Rsabhadeva therefore recommended Bharata Maharaj as the emperor of this planet. Serving a devotee means serving the Supreme Lord, for a devotee always represents the Lord. When a devotee is in charge, the government is always congenial and beneficial for everyone. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karitavachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yakripatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Diditanam Bancha Kopadribishta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namanamaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Okay, I'll read the translation again. My dear boys, you are all born of my heart. So this is Rsabhadeva speaking to his sons. 100, right? 100 sons. He's speaking to his 100 sons. My dear boys, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. You should accept your eldest brother, Bharat, who is exalted in devotional service. If you engage yourselves in service, your service to him will include my service, and you will rule the citizens automatically. So Bharata Maharaj is being glorified here by Rsabhadeva. Out of all the 100 sons, there's 100 sons, and then he's telling his 99 sons, right? You follow Bharata Maharaj. And then someone may say, okay, why follow him, right? Not out of envy, but some may say, why follow him? And because he's qualified, he's spiritually advanced personality. Now, out of envy, someone may also say, well, why follow him? Right? The other 99 sons, out of envy, why follow him? Like, what's so good about him? Hey, I'm also your son. Why not follow me? Right? So within, and therefore, Rsabhadeva here is saying in the verse, he's saying you shouldn't be like materialistic and envious men. Because envious people, if you tell 100, if a father tells 100 sons, materialistic, envious sons, oh, you follow this one son, the other 99 sons are going to go, oh, great, I got to follow this guy, because they're envious and materialistic. They don't want to follow, right? They want people to follow them. But Bharata Maharaja, so therefore Rsabhadeva is saying, don't be like ordinary envious people. You follow Bharata Maharaja. So to be a devotee, devotee of Krishna, to be a follower of Srila Prabhupada, to be a follower of the Bhagavatam, means to be free from envy. To have, take that, take envy and just have it completely removed from our hearts. And that we don't mind following somebody. We don't mind following somebody. Qualified. Of course, that doesn't mean we should be fools and just follow anybody, but we don't mind following somebody who's qualified. And even in some cases, Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's manifest pastimes, there'd be temple presidents and so on and so forth, leadership positions, roles that devotees would have, and they would just be not leading how they should. But Srila Prabhupada would actually appreciate that the devotees would cooperate with them nonetheless. Now, of course, taking it to extreme, when in New York there was a leader who was doing just weird things, very strange things, Srila Prabhupada said, well, why didn't anybody tell me? In other words, why didn't anybody tell me? Not that all of you necessarily had to fight with him or so on, but you should have told me. So, but in general, there may be some flaws, right, with leaders. But Srila Prabhupada, he was pleased when devotees would just cooperate, follow. So yeah, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, we don't mind following. We don't mind following. Therefore, there's certain people to follow. First, right, foremost, you could say the guru principle, right? Diksha guru, Shiksha gurus. Chaitanya Charitamrita says they're identical manifestations of Krishna. Interesting. So Diksha gurus, Shiksha gurus, GBC, right? Governing body commissioner out there, GBCs, temple presidents, temple commanders, Sankirtan leaders, ashram leaders, bhakta leaders, right? We don't mind following. And that's actually how things move forward, by everybody cooperating. There's departments, there's leaders of departments, and we follow. That's how things move on. Just like if, for example, a devotee is out distributing books, and he's with a senior book distributor, and they decide to blitz a restaurant. Means devotees sometimes do that. They go into restaurants, right? I remember I was with a devotee, and they got so mad at him at the restaurant because, we went in there, I was there, we went in together, and we were distributing to people sitting down, eating and stuff. Some people get really agitated when you try to talk to them while they're eating. It's like, this is my sacred time, like, get lost. But some people accept. But anyways, we were in the restaurant. It was a Denny's, but we were there and we were walking around, and this devotee was trying to distribute, and I was also, trailing behind. But then this manager came out, and she was so agitated with him. She was like completely angry. She said, "What are you doing here? And you can't be here. And what organization are you with? I'm going to call them immediately and tell them you're doing this." Like she calls here, and like it's against the rules for us to do that. And I forgot what he said, but we just kind of, all right, we just left the restaurant. But that's not the main thing I wanted to say. What I wanted to say was that if you go into a restaurant to blitz the restaurant, means to try to distribute books to many people as possible in a quick time and then leave. Now, if you go in with the senior book distributor or leader, and he says, "All right, I'm going to go for all the people sitting, right? And then you go for because sometimes they do that too. You go for the cashier, right? So then, if the senior man goes and he's distributing to all the, or you take the left side. This is better. You take the left side of the restaurant. I take the right side of the restaurant, right? So then the person just goes to the right side of the restaurant, and another person's kind of like fumbling, freezing, maybe approaches one person, maybe. And then before the manager comes out and says, "All right, you guys got to go." So in other words, that's an example of, that devotee should have just followed. He should have just went for, approaching the left side of the restaurant, right? Just like, for example, in war, right? If somebody's like, if the commander or the soldier or whatever, the main soldier, "All right, you go, you charge this way." The other person, "Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe we should go this way, or maybe let's have a meeting about it or something." It's like, well, no, we're going this way, and then it could cause a lot of problems. Actually, people could get hurt, people could get killed. So, of course, there is room for meetings and discussion and things like that, planning, strategic planning, but there is something to it where just to accept, okay, we're going this direction. And Srila Prabhupada would often use war terminology when talking with devotees and writing and so on, right? For example, he would say, the temples are not places to eat and sleep, but the temples are bases by which we send out soldiers to drop bombs, hundreds and thousands and millions and billions and trillions of bombs into the laps of the conditioned souls. And what are those bombs? Books, right? So that's war terminology. Prabhupada would use. Prabhupada would say, Sankirtan army and so on. So as spiritual warriors, we have to be fit, actually. Spiritually fit, physically fit also. We have to be fit, actually, to fight, right? And therefore, right, Bhagavad Gita says, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little, don't eat too much, don't eat too little, right? Be balanced in all these different activities, and all the material miseries will be mitigated. So in relation to sleeping too little, okay, certain people need less, some people need more, right? But we should try to get enough sleep. Because similarly, just like on war, on a battlefield, if a soldier's out there and he's too tired, like on book distribution, try to distribute books when you're tired. It's just like getting angry at people. Oh, you didn't take a book, man? Get angry at people, and the mind's not focused, thinking about sleeping, and slurring your words, and it's like, man, is this person person's thinking, is this person intoxicated or what? I thought he's supposed to be a monk, it's like, so just not alert, right? So like, for example, in war, if somebody is tired, there's like bullets flying and people are running back and forth, and you got a tired soldier out there. Of course, there's adrenaline from the war, but let's say he's really tired and he's like this, yawns or something, and somebody shoots, right? So you have to be careful. So Maya's like that too. We have to be, alert. So yeah, we don't mind following. It's just part of the process to follow. And Bharata Maharaja, Rsabhadeva here says, he's telling his 99 sons, you serve Bharat, and it's just like serving me. So in other words, he's saying, Bharat's so close to me. He is the representative of me. And because he's the representative of me, by serving him, you're serving me. So in relation to this, in India, in Juhu, in Srila Prabhupada's Manifest Pastimes, he was there, and he was quite ill. It means his body experiencing sickness. So Srila Prabhupada wasn't accepting any visitors. Mostly Srila Prabhupada, he would always accept visitors, all the time, day and night. Please come in. But at this particular point, he was restricting visitors because he was really, wasn't feeling well. So then, so everyone was really quiet around Srila Prabhupada. Devotees were really quiet. Devotees were trying to, give Prabhupada peace and quiet. And so then, Tamal Krishna Goswami was there, and Giriraj Das Brahmacharya were there. Tamal Krishna Goswami was the GBC, means the leader there in India. So so you have like Srila Prabhupada in his room, and then you have, which was it's a large room. You could go there now, Juhu, very beautiful, right? Quarters Srila Prabhupada has. So there's Srila Prabhupada's room, and then you have another set of doors, big wooden doors that were closed. And I think you had another set of wooden doors. In other words, there's no way Srila Prabhupada could hear, the devotees speaking, especially if they're whispering, right, out there. So Tamal Krishna Goswami and Giriraj Das Brahmacharya, they were speaking, but they're speaking very quietly, very whispering practically, hushed tones, because they didn't want to disturb Prabhupada, and they were conscious of that. So then Tamal Krishna Goswami was asking Giriraj Das Brahmacharya, who was the temple president at the time, he was asking him to go to the bank to make a deposit. And then Giriraj Das Brahmacharya, he was thinking, and he said to him, why can't you ask somebody else? And he was thinking that I'm the temple president, and I have so many duties, I have so many things to do, and I could do many things that others aren't in the position to do, or that others can't do. So I should just do those things that I could do, and let the others do the other things, such as going to the bank and making a deposit. In other words, anybody could go to the bank and make a deposit. So he was thinking that, and he was saying that to Tamal Krishna Goswami. And there was, you could say, a bit of a friction there. But again, they're speaking very quietly. So then Prabhupada rings his bell. He rings his bell. And then the devotees, Tamal Krishna Goswami, Giriraj Das Brahmacharya, they go in there to see Srila Prabhupada. They offer their obeisances. And they're very happy because Prabhupada wasn't ringing his bell much. There wasn't many people seeing him. So they go in there, and then Srila Prabhupada, he starts to speak, and he says many things. And one of the things he says to Giriraj Das Brahmacharya, he says, if the spiritual master asks you to go to the bank and make a deposit, and you don't want to do that, and you say no, He said, what type of surrender is that? And then he said that he was thinking, how on earth did Prabhupada, how did he say that? Like, because they were speaking very quietly. It's like, and then he spoke with devotees about that. He was wondering, how did Prabhupada know that, or why did Prabhupada say that? And then some devotees were saying that Prabhupada had very refined senses, hearing, like special hearing powers, like that. But of course, maybe some would say also that Prabhupada was just connected, with the of course he's connected with the super soul, and the super soul inspires to say things or whatever. So, but he said that if the spiritual master asks you to go to the bank to make a deposit, and you say no, you don't want to do it, what type of surrender is that? So then, later reflecting on it, Giraj Swami was reflecting on it, and he was making the point that that he was seeing Tamal Krishna Goswami separate from Prabhupada. He was seeing him separately. But he was saying he shouldn't have seen them separately. Means the particular instructions that he's getting from Tamal Krishna Goswami, he should accept that because they're connected, it's coming from Prabhupada as his representative, of Srila Prabhupada's representative. And that's what Bharata Maharaja is saying, or that's what Rsabhadeva is saying here. You 99 sons, you serve Bharata Maharaj because he's my representative and you're serving me. So we should try to see like that. We should try to see like that. That the personalities who are in my life, who are acting as my gurus, and all Vaishnavas we should see as our gurus, are representatives of my spiritual master, representative of Krishna, trying to help me. And I shouldn't see it otherwise. Now, of course, this has to be seen in the right way, because it's not like a ticket. It's like, all right, so I'm a devotee, and now I could just kind of instruct all the devotees, and they should all follow me because I'm a representative of Krishna, and they have to follow what I say. Means like in a materialistic way. We think like that. But we see that Tamal Krishna Goswami, he was in that specific leadership role, right, as a GBC. So it was proper. So in other words, there's always ways to we hear certain things, and we come up with different conclusions, right? Like to suit our agenda, our possible materialistic agenda, right? So we have to be careful about that. Not that, okay, well, hey Tyler, shine my shoes, because actually my shoes can't be shined because they're not those type of shoes. But I could say, hey Tyler, clean the, I was walking today on the park, and then, I accidentally stepped in some dog, dropping. So now, hey Tyler, clean it off my shoe. I would never ask Tyler to do that, by the way. But in other words, I can't say that, oh Tyler, you don't want to follow me? I'm initiated. I'm second initiated. I'm a this. I'm a that. Right? You have to follow me, and if you don't follow me, I'm going to become angry and, offensive towards you. But in other words, it has to be reasonable. Maybe if I say it's Janmashtami and I say, hey Tyler, I know you wanna whatever, go visit your uncle in Seattle because it's his 70th birthday, but we got like two devotees here. Can you please stay for Janmashtami and help? And maybe you could visit your uncle in a week, So that's a little bit more reasonable, So you understand what I'm saying? So we have to be logical in our conclusions and honest. For example, William Blake William Blake, which of course we don't agree with everything William Blake had to say. Someone was saying the other day he was quite a sensualist, actually. But anyways, whatever. But he had this saying. It said, both you and I read the Bible day and night. You read white, and you read black, and I read white. So in other words, he's saying we're both reading the same book day and night. You read white, you read black, and I read white. In other words, we're reading the same book, but we're coming with different conclusions. Or just like I gave that quote the other day from a German fellow. A book is like a mirror. A book is like a mirror. You can't, if a donkey looks into a mirror, you can't expect a apostle to look out, right? So in other words, based on our consciousness, we're able to come up with different conclusions. So the idea is that we want to purify our consciousness more and more and more and more, so our conclusions are just Krishna conscious. So we should try to see things in the right way and be honest. So the last point is that Bharata Maharaja, although he's one of the 100 sons, Rsabhadeva put him in charge. Lord Rsabhadeva put him in charge. And Prabhupada commented on this, says over and over again in his books, that if one is Krishna conscious, if there's a leader who's Krishna conscious, then that is the happiness program for everybody else, right? But because the leaders aren't Krishna conscious, and because the followers or those who are electing the leaders are not Krishna conscious, Prabhupada says Shudras, then they elect another Shudra and everybody's miserable. So, therefore, Rsabhadeva is putting Bharata Maharaj in control, and Krishna put Yudhishthira Maharaj in control because they're proper leaders. So it's a lesson for us too, that it's not that Krishna conscious is not a physical thing. Like, all right, I showed up for the morning program. I dragged my corpse, to the morning program, I forced my corpse to get up and take a bath, and I dragged my corpse to the morning program, and now I'm a devotee. Now I'm Krishna conscious. Now I'm cool. Now I'm in the club. But it's based on the consciousness. We have to be conscious of what's going on, just like Javita Prabhu is saying, right, with the morning program, of the words. What are these words? What do they mean? How to pronounce them? What do they mean? Or like, yes, I clean my body, and I'm on time, and I'm on the altar, and I'm waving some incense. So I'm doing my duty, right? Okay, fine. Or I'm here cooking the offering, right? I'm cutting the potatoes, frying the potatoes, or I'm sweeping the floor, or I'm out distributing books, or whatever it is. That's all good, and right? But we have to also be conscious and Krishna conscious while these activities are going on. Because Krishna conscious is not just a physical thing, engaged in the body, but the mind should also be engaged, right? The mental culture of Krishna consciousness, which is very important. It's very important. So, because Srila Prabhupada, he didn't want just a bunch of mindless, mechanical, heartless, unconscious bhaktas floating around, right, making sure things go on. He didn't want a barn of bad cows, right? He wanted conscious, devotional, those full of heart, people who were just really wanting to be Krishna conscious and really trying to make spiritual advancement. That's what he wanted. He didn't just want things to go on. He wanted things to go on in a Krishna conscious, devotional way. So, of course, I'm not alluding to anybody being non-devotional and so on, but it's a reminder for myself, and that we have to, put our heart into it more and more and more. Someone say, "Oh, I'm putting my heart into it." What are you trying to say? I'm sweeping the floor in a devotional way, or I'm waving the incense in a devotional way, or I'm cutting the potatoes in a devotional way. Hey, back off. Well, okay, you may be doing that, but there's higher and higher and higher and higher levels, right? And that's the idea. We want to go higher levels. So, all right. Does anybody have any comments?
Hare Krishna.
All right, Krishna. Yes, you could go.
Yes, Prabhu. The quote from the purport is, quote, "When a devotee is in charge, the government is always congenial and beneficial for everyone," end quote. So my question is, why is it that when a devotee is in charge, everything is good for everyone? And why is it that when the opposite happens, if a demon is in charge, everything is bad for everyone?
Okay. Well, because a asura or demon, they don't know what is to be done, what is not to be done. They don't know who they are. They don't know what the goal of life is. They don't know how to be happy. Practically, they just don't know anything besides sense gratification. So, how can you expect people to cooperate, to get along, to be happy? Like if you put two junkyard dogs together, I don't know, maybe they'll get along for a while, but as soon as there's some they fight. That's a tendency. Or like Prabhupada would say specifically, they're fighting like cats and dogs, right? The only reason they don't bomb America is because they're scared. If America didn't have the force it had, we would have been bombed a long time ago, because so much of the world hates America. In many ways for good reasons. Because it's leadership, or leadership is exploitative, and in so many ways, we don't have to go into all the details, exploiting so many of the world, other people's countries and so on. And anyways, we have to go into that. But the reason they don't bomb America is because America's a big dog, right? You mess with the big dog, and but there's many people who would like to bomb America, many countries, many leaders, and they would do it immediately if they could. So therefore, and then with America, anyways, who knows? Anyways, we don't get into all that. But Prabhupada said the countries are they're fighting like cats and dogs. Why? Because lack of Krishna consciousness. They don't know what to do. They don't know what not to do. They don't know who they are. They don't know what the goal of life is. Just like sometimes atheists, they criticize, all the world's religions, they created so much war, right? All these religious wars. All these religious wars were just so-called religious people or fanatics whose God consciousness was God knows where, and just exploitative, fighting over land, over money, over, differences of, slight differences in religion, right? That's why all these wars. In other words, it's all based on materialism as well. Real religious war, right? What was it? Kurukshetra, right? So because there's a poor fund of knowledge, they don't know. And because they don't know, because it's ignorance. Ignorance means suffering, right? Sin, ignorance, sin, suffering. Therefore, there cannot be any question of happiness. But for a devotee in charge, they know. They know what to be done. They know what's not to be done. They know how to be happy. They know what the goal of life is. They're not fighting like cats and dogs. They know how to cooperate, right? Because they're on the spiritual platform. The envy's gone. Selfishness, greed, anger. Just imagine, right? All the leaders of the world, or the so-called leaders of the world, right? Of different countries and so on. Imagine if somehow or other, in a dreamland, all the lust and anger and greed and envy and all that was just completely cleaned from their heart. In everybody's heart. I just imagine that. The whole world, it was just cleaned from everybody's heart. Of course, it's hard to imagine that, but there wouldn't be all this war and pestilence and, right? Like Prabhupada said, so-called hunger problems there. You got people with, millions and billions of dollars, and there's hunger problems in the world. It's just lack of management. People don't know how to manage anything. So, but if you just imagine it was all cleaned from everybody's heart, then yeah, there'd be no problems. And that is what happens to a degree, when you have, or to a large degree, when you have personalities like Yudhishthira Maharaj and Rsabhadeva. They have a clean heart. Therefore, they have everyone's self-interest in mind, the real self-interest. So, anyways, those are just some.
Yes, Balaram Prabhu, I liked it when you said that no one is bombing America because America is the big dog. Wonderful answer to my question.
Right.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any last? Daniel? Farooq-san?
So, thank you, Balaram Prabhu. So my question is, when you were talking about, when we're as devotees, sometimes we like to, take charge and be like, oh, okay, don't do that, don't do this, right? But some people have it from intention, like, oh, because I'm superior, and then you have intention, like, oh, I want to help you, right?
Yeah.
So in those ways, how can one actually step back and be like, okay, does that person really need help? Or can they actually do it on their own and kind of let them, fly on with themselves? So I'm asking you, how can we
How do you know if somebody could do it on themselves?
Yeah.
Or if they need help?
Yeah. Because let's say for me, example, I'm trying to tell someone to do something, well, should I be the even one telling them? And is it even appropriate if I tell them?
All right. Yeah, so there's two examples. One example is of a man who is, his aunt was in charge of him to train him and right? And then he got into a bunch of criminal activity, and he actually got sentenced to death. And I haven't told this for a while. I haven't heard it for a while either, but so he said, oh, is there any last, they asked me, you have any last words you want to tell your family, anything? And he went to his aunt and he said, oh, come closer, and he bit off her ear. Like Mike Tyson, right? Remember that? Bit off her ear, right? Now, Mike Tyson did that, right? Bit off the bucks, yeah. So, and then he told her, or bit off a piece of her ear. I don't think he could bite off someone's whole ear, but anyways. Hare Krishna. But he told her that it's because of you I'm in this situation. You didn't train me. You never corrected me. Right? So there's that. Of course, it's an example, and there's many angles of vision how to see that. But it is the business of the gurus or the leaders or seniors or whatever you want to say in many ways, that word senior, you know, think of someone like, right, gray hair or whatever, but it's the business of the devotees, the caretakers, to correct, to help, not out of superiority complex, but to help, because they care about the person. So that's one idea. And the other idea, I remember hearing this. There were two men, and they were being trained up by a boss, right? How to work with heavy duty machinery, which is dangerous, you know. So, you know, blades spinning and stuff like that in a factory. So one of them was very humble. So, okay, yes, you know, boss man, you please instruct me in how to, you know, use everything. And of course they signed some contracts, hey, you know, but beforehand if something happens. But so one was very humble and he really wanted to be trained, right? But the other one was a little bit more, yeah, I kind of know how to do this, and you know. So the boss was trying to train him, and he was saying, oh, no, you know, like this, don't do like this. And the guy said, oh, yeah, sure, yeah, but I know how to do it, don't worry, you know. He said, okay, and you know, he kept on doing that, and he was trying, but the guy was just not wanting to learn. So the humble, you know, what guy who tried to get trained properly, he didn't have any problems. But the other guy, one day, right, with the heavy-duty machinery, you know, blades spinning really quick, one day, you know, lost one of his, you know, fingers. So, so the training is, it has to be done with care in mind. You know, we're trying to help people, not as a superiority complex, but to really help them. But those who need to be helped, or who need to be educated, and we all need help. We should try to, you know, be humble about it. Hey, these people, they're trying to help me, and I should accept it. Not that, oh, I know everything, and well, you know everything, and you know, give it 2 months, 3 months, a year, and see how much trouble you're in, because you're not following instructions. So, but based on how do we know whether someone needs help or not? Again, everybody does, but it may not be our particular position to help. So that requires some guidance also. You could ask the guru, should I be helping this person? Or should I not be helping this person? So we have to ask also. All right. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, this is Dhanvari Dasi. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
All goes to Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. I joined late, but what you just said, Prabhu, about the helping others and do your duty. And my question is, in Kali Yuga, when we, especially to our kids or our loved one, we try to help, but in this Western world or whatever, Kali Yuga, they said, oh no, don't, we are fine, you don't have to, only when we need, we'll let you know, but we sometimes we see it's not good thing, they're not, but they don't want help and they don't like, and
Yeah.
unnecessary if we try to intervene. They say, no, let us learn by ourselves. And so in that case, it's hard as a parent or loved one, or we have their best interest to relatives or whoever, but they don't like it. So how do we handle? I mean, it's hard to keep quiet when we go through like, oh,
Okay.
they are.
How do we handle that? Yeah, so probably gave the example of a loving father. The son takes off to San Francisco to enjoy himself in different ways. Especially you could think about it in the hippie days, right? Going to do so many things. But the father is always ready and willing to accept the son back. He's always there, waiting. And but sometimes the son forgets for quite some time. And then eventually the son may come back or may not come back. So we have to be a little detached with our children or different personalities. You have to be a little detached. That, okay, I try my best, but what can I do? I mean, I could only do so much. And that's all. Being detached means that we're realizing that we're not the supreme controller. And even Krishna is detached. What can, some ways he tries to help people, and what can he do? He's only so much, right? And yeah, sometimes the children later on, they may realize, oh, my parent, they were actually really trying to help me. And like Mark Twain, whatever, he has some quote, something about, oh, when I left my house at the age of 16, and then I came back, when I was 25, which is only not that many years. He's commenting about his father. He said, I left at 16, I came back at 25. It's amazing how much my dad learned in those years, In other words, his dad knew so much, and he was trying to help his son, but what could the son understand? But then later he comes, hey, my dad's not so, he has some good advice. So yeah, 1, we have to be detached. 2, we have to wait, patiently, and just do our best. And after that, what can we do? We're detached, we wait, we're there for people, we try our best. After that, what can we do? So that's all, I think.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna,
Right,
Prabhu.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's Ekadashi today, so we won't have any burritos, but, we've got some quinoa, yams. I'm just joking. I was trying to freak everybody out here, because devotees like burritos. So I was seeing if anybody's heart would drop. Oh, I'm not getting any burritos today.